Xenosystems Fragments. Nihilism and Destiny. Nickland. Narrated by Skeptical Waves. Readers of Nietzsche, or of Eugene Rose, are already familiar with the attribution of a cultural teleology to modernity, directed to the consummate realization of nihilism. Our contemporary crisis finds this theme reanimated within a geopolitical context by the work of Alexander Dugin, who interprets it as a driver of concrete events, most specifically the antagonization of Russia by an imploding world liberal order. He writes, "There is one point in liberal ideology that has brought about a crisis within it. Liberalism is profoundly nihilistic at its core. The set of values defended by liberalism is essentially linked to its main thesis, the primacy of liberty. But liberty in the liberal vision is an essentially negative category. It claims to be free from, as per John Stuart Mill, not to be free for something, the enemies of the open society, which is synonymous with Western society post-1991, and which has become the norm for the rest of the world, are concrete. Its primary enemies are communism and fascism, both ideologies which emerged from the same Enlightenment philosophy, and which contain central, non-individualistic concepts. Class in Marxism, race in National Socialism, and the national state in fascism. So the source of liberalism's conflict with the existing alternatives of modernity, fascism or communism, is quite obvious. Liberals claim to liberate society from fascism and communism, or from the two major permutations of explicitly non-individualistic modern totalitarianism. Liberalism's struggle, when viewed as a part of the process of the liquidation of non-liberal societies, is quite meaningful. It acquires its meaning from the fact of the very existence of ideologies that explicitly deny the individual as society's highest value. It is quite clear what the struggle opposes: liberation from its opposite. But the fact that liberty, as it is conceived by liberals, is an essentially negative category is not clearly perceived here. The enemy is present and is concrete. That very fact gives liberalism its solid content. Something other than the open society exists, and the fact of its existence is enough to justify the process of liberation. In Dugin's analysis, liberalism tends to self-abolition and nihilism, and is able to counteract this fate, if only temporarily, by defining itself against a concrete enemy. Without the war against illiberalism, liberalism reverts to being nothing at all, a free-floating negation without purpose. Therefore, the impending war on Russia is a requirement of liberalism's intrinsic cultural process. It is a flight from nihilism, which is to say, the history of nihilism propels it. Outside-in is far more inclined to criticize Dugin than align with him, or the forces he orchestrates, but it is hard to deny that he represents a definite species of political genius, sufficient to categorize him as a man of destiny. The mobilization of resistance to modernity in the name of a counter-nihilism is inspired, because the historical understanding it draws upon is genuinely through potent political alchemy. The destruction of collective meaning is transformed into an invigorating cause. When Dugin argues there will be blood, the appeal to Slavic victimology might be considered contemptible, and, of course, extremely dangerous, but the prophetic insight is not easy to dismiss. Modernity was initiated by the European assimilation of mathematical zero. The encounter with nothingness is its root. In this sense, among others, it is nihilistic at its core. The frivolous meanings that modernizing societies clutch at, as distractions from their propulsion into the abyss, are defenseless against the derision, and even revulsion, of those who contemplate them with detachment. A modernity in evasion from its essential nihilism is a pitiful prey animal upon the plains of history. That is what we have seen before, see now, and doubtless will see again. Dugin gazes upon modernity with the cold eyes of a wolf. It is merely pathetic to denounce him for that.